Good evening, Tri-Cities family. I am excited to reconvene with you all. I know that you have a lot of questions, and trust me, I don't have all the answers, but I will do my very best in trying to answer as many as I can. If you have been following the news and school board meetings, you will know that the decisions are being made daily, things are changing daily, but I know that we're coming up on the end of our selection period for those parents who want to select going individual virtual learning versus face-to-face. Although yesterday, just yesterday as an example, it was changed to going by the month, I'm sorry, to the end of the month or the 24th next week. So I wanted to make sure that I came to you to check in with you and to give you as many answers as I can as of today. Tomorrow, some things may change. The way I will do this is I will kind of run through the information that we have, and then at the end, I will take some questions. Please know that the team, the administrators, our administrative team has been working diligently, long hours to answer as many questions, to prepare as much as possible. So with that, we'll go ahead and get started. Let me see. So this is my first time using live event, so just bear with me. As always, computers want to do something a little different when you want them not to. So I think we'll go. So just to go over the agenda for today, we're going to go over our back to school plan. We're going to talk about some things that are specific to Tri-Cities High School and things we're doing to receive our students face to face. And then we will go into the remote learning. We'll talk about remote learning as far as a universal remote learning. That means the entire district is doing remote learning. And then we'll go into a little more specifics about the individual remote learning selection option that parents have. At the end, we'll take some questions. I probably won't be able to answer all of them, but we will compile all those questions, create a frequently asked FAQ sheet that we will upload in our onto our website so that you can access that and get more information. So I wanted to make sure that I shared some things with you. The district has been doing some digital or virtual briefings. The next one, as of now, is tomorrow at 10 o'clock. They are going to talk about technology, the devices that will be used, how devices will be deployed, online platforms that we'll be using, and also Infinite Campus. So if you have some questions around technology in reference to remote learning or just in general, you might want to tune in tomorrow at fultoncountyschools.org at 10 o'clock. So these are our options, face-to-face or virtual. Face-to-face means just that, we're coming back to school collectively together. Classes will operate, not the same, but classes will be in session. We will have transitions. We will have approximately 1,400 to 1,500 students in the building. So that's exactly what it is. The virtual option, though, is available to all of our students, first grade through 12th grade, for Tri-Cities 9 through 12. And so it is in collaboration with Fulton Virtual School and also Georgia Virtual. So this is what our day will look like face to face. I'm sorry, this is how we'll start rather. So students, as you know, come back August the 17th. That's pushed back a week as of right now. Things could change. And then our regular school day, if we come back face to face or virtual, the school day will be from 8:20 until 3:30. And we will be on a traditional A-B schedule face to face. What I want, you'll see later on, I want you also, those who are considering the virtual options, understand that it will not be the same format that we had in the spring when we left out initially. The school day for virtual will look very similar to a regular school day. So I wanted to spend a little time talking to you about health and sanitation. I know how important this is to everyone, our staff members, our family members, our students, and everyone who enters Tri-Cities. So I'll kind of talk through some things. I won't go line by line, but you can take a moment to look at those. Please know that we have put together a sanitation plan for our entire building. That includes hourly wipe downs of internal and external doors. That means hourly pass-throughs or wipe downs or sanitations of our restrooms. We do have an isolation room that we have identified specifically in our building that is in a somewhat secluded area for students or staff members who have COVID symptoms. So we're preparing for those, awaiting for a district protocol as to how that'll exactly be handled. Teachers also, we are involving, this is a all hands on deck situation. So along with our environmental services, our custodians, our administrators, our teachers, all staff members will be trained in how to clean and sanitize areas. Each teacher and staff member will be provided a bottle of a sanitizer. It's called Peroxy. I think it's Peroxy Clean. And they will have moments that they will be required to wipe down desks and door handles. So it's an all hands on deck situation. Some things I did want to make sure that I point out to family members is that, or to everyone coming into the building, is that anyone coming into our building as a visitor must have on a mask. And I know that is somewhat interesting, as we cannot mandate students to wear masks. However, we are strongly encouraging them. We will also be providing them with 2 washable masks. So we can't make them as of today. We can't mandate that they wear them, but we're preparing so that we can make sure that students and staff are safe by providing the materials they need for that. Lockers, I do want to make sure that everyone knows that lockers for general use will not be available. However, for our CTAE students, our magnet students, and athletes only, they will have lockers, because they do change. Some of our CTA students have uniforms that they change into. We have performers in the magnet. We have athletes that need to be able to change their clothes. And so with that, though, we will have proper spacing. What that may look like is the lockers may be 2 or 3 over as assigned versus right next to each other. We probably won't have lower lockers, maybe just all upper lockers. So we will make sure that we provide as safe environment as possible for that. And so the other thing I wanted us to look at was, something just happened to my screen. So I'm just going to keep talking. Something I wanted us to look at was, let me see if I can get it back up. Not sure what happened, but that's okay. It's powering back up, guys. Book bags. So because we're not doing lockers this year, what we are going to do is provide students with clear book bags. The first 1,000 students will receive a Bulldog logo book bag that is plastic. And so they'll be able to wipe that down, be able to keep that clean, instead of having just a regular, regular book bag. We want to make sure that they have everything that they need and able to carry their items around. So we will be working on that. That's for the first 1,000 students. And then after that, we do have additional book bags for students that may not have the logo on them. And we understand that our girls may need to have a smaller pouch within their book bag for their personal items. Totally understandable. But again, we're thinking about the health and safety of everyone, and we want to make sure that we provide as possible with the masks and with the book bags to keep us as safe as possible. Now, the thing I wanted to also to know is that our staff members are required, all staff members are required to wear masks all day long. And for our staff members at Tri-Cities, we are providing them face shields, additional face shields if they would like. That is to supplement the face mask. So they still have to wear the face mask, the face shield is optional. So we want to, again, make sure that everyone is safe as possible. What we will also do is make sure that we provide signage, because we get into a space sometimes of going through the school day, forget, but we want to make sure that we put as much signage as appropriately as possible throughout the building, reminding our students and staff to stay as much as possible 6 feet apart from each other. We know that that won't always happen, but if we're moving and moving in the right direction to where we need to be, then we should be in a better situation or safer. And so I also wanted to talk to you about learning recovery. What we know is our students have been out of school since mid-March this year. And so we want to make sure that we create opportunities that they can learn the new information that we have, but also recover some of it as necessary. And learn does not necessarily mean that it's because a student is lacking in an area. We may have students who need to excel, and so we'll be able to enrich those students. This year, we have designed a Bulldog Pride Time, and that's 2 days a week that we will spend 45 minutes of our time in enrichment, remediation, ACT or ACT prep. Depending on the student's needs and desires, they may be able to interact in some club activities or intramural activities, and to also do some of our social emotional learning. And so we were intentional about saying, what is it that our students need? How do we put this time into our day and not just rush through the day? And so what that will look like, 2 days out of the week, our class periods will be shortened. We will operate on an activity schedule to create that 5th period, if you will. Students will transition to that 5th period class to receive whatever it is, whether it's enrichment, remediation, but every student will have a location to be in. It won't start the first week of school. It probably won't start until after Labor Day at least, and this is all contingent on us going face to face, if you will. But we'll start after Labor Day probably. Is our target date, rather, not probably, but after Labor Day is our target date. And students prior to that will have some assessments to help us identify who needs remediation, who needs enrichment. We will identify our seniors and what their needs are as far as ACT, SAT prep, and look at as much information and data as possible so that every student can be in an environment for those 45 minutes twice a week to help them excel as a scholar. And so we're looking to, again, start that, although we will start the timing of Bulldog Pride Time at the start of school, the actual shift of students to identify who needs to be in enrichment or remediation, that won't happen until after Labor Day. One thing the district has done is they have looked at our priority standards for instruction that help guide what happens in the classroom, what's taught. And they've gone back to look at what are those important standards that a student may have missed from a previous course and place that into our learning guides, so our pacing guides, so that teachers have a path to teach new standards and also to regain some of those gap areas or reinforce some of those areas where they may not have missed out since March. Also, we will not start any after-school tutorials before Labor Day. So unless the student is an athlete or participating in our CTAE program where they're required to stay after school, or our magnet program, students will be asked to leave campus immediately after school is over. So there will be no after-school activities or tutorials or club meetings face-to-face, even if we are face-to-face during the regular day. So again, if a student is in National Honor Society, for instance, instead of us having a National Honor Society meeting after school, we will try to arrange that so that they can meet during that Pride Time initially, or teachers may set up opportunities for them to do team meetings at a later time in the day. So we'll have to be very flexible with that. But as of right now, again, no after school tutorials. The only students that will be after school will be our athletes, our performers as far as magnet is concerned, and also our CTA students as necessary. One thing the district has taken a huge interest in, and rightfully so, is our social emotional learning. And that's just not for our students or scholars, that's also for our staff members. And so what we're going to do is we've been implementing mindfulness for at least the last 2 years, and we're going to continue that work. And that's going to start, a mindfulness exercise will happen at the beginning of class periods. And that's going to happen whether we're virtual or whether we're face to face. I'm excited to announce that along with our staff quiet room, we are going to establish a student quiet room. What we realize is that some students may need an opportunity to kind of reboot their moment, reboot their day. It is not a space where they would linger for hours. It is a moment, a space that they can go in for a moment, 5, 10, 15 minutes, regroup themselves so that they can reacclimate to the day, whatever is happening, so that they can move to class. Just like an adult, a student needs time to step away, to get quiet, still themselves, and so that they can continue to be successful. And so we are excited to say that we have established that. Also, the district has implemented a rethink, or will be implementing the rethink curriculum, and I'm so excited about this. The rethink curriculum centers on social and emotional learning. And it also not just looks at, it doesn't just look at the social emotional things that we would normally think of, like belonging or being optimistic or having healthy thoughts, right? They're also looking at teachers, the needs of teachers, the needs of students outside of school. So we're really excited about how we can utilize this curriculum to help our students identify their needs, their wants, and establish their voice in this work. And so there's some modules that are built into the Rethink curriculum that I'm absolutely excited about. We will again implement those whether we're face-to-face or whether we are universally virtual. This is not an individual virtual opportunity, but a universal virtual opportunity. And then also this year we're going to go to some nurture groups, which is another area that does make my heart smile. This will be an opportunity for our staff members, and that doesn't matter if you're a teacher, if you are a paraprofessional, if you are a professional assistant. We're asking every adult in the building to connect with 10 students. And that is just what we do know, is that we all need a sense of belonging. And so we're looking at how can we look at a student, connect with the student, talk with the student to let them know that they're important, they care, their feelings matter. And you know what? Sometimes it's okay not to be okay, but I'm here as an adult to help you navigate this moment. So as we transition this very interesting and sometimes a tough time, depending on what's happening in your life, we want to make sure that the adults are here as much as possible to support our students. Last but not least, this is something that I know I've been excited about all of these items that I've named, but we are going to implement a Bulldog Empowerment Council. And so you say, well, what is that, Ms. Love? The Bulldog Empowerment Council will be made of students, comprised of students, identified students who show interest in joining the group. They will look at they will be a part of our positive behavior interventions systems, identifying the reward systems that we have, the things that we're going to do with PBIS. They will also be a part of our restorative practice team. And so what restorative practice is, if someone has been violated, maybe somebody started arguing in the hallway. So it'll be a council of peers that will help navigate those students through those emotions, and how can we better operate with each other or coexist with each other. Those students will receive a very specific type of training. There will always be adults involved with this work, but what we wanted to do is create an opportunity so our students' voices can be heard. We want to be able to not just teach them the arithmetic, the instructional or academic learnings, but we also want to teach them how to be good citizens. And so being a good citizen means that you're able to be empowered, know your voice, know that you have a voice, ground your thoughts and emotions in facts and information, and help the greater good. And we're basing that, or that's being birthed out of what's happening in our society right now. We want our students, again, to know that they have a voice that's important to us. It's also being birthed out of our mission statement. And our mission statement centers around Bulldogs being inspiring each other to be their best selves by being committed, innovative, optimistic, and service-minded. And so the Bulldog Empowerment Council will make our mission statement come to life, and we're excited about that. So what we are all concerned about are large group expectations, and fair enough. We are a school that averages about 1,500 students. We have high schoolers comprised of pep rallies, we have performances, we have classes that are 30 students, some of them are 40 students. But what does that look like, and what are our expectations? And so we want to make sure that we are intentional about our classrooms. Previously, up to this point, we did a lot of group activities, small group activities. For this time being, we're going to cease all of those. Classrooms will be reviewed. We're going to remove extra furniture to create as much space as possible for students to be able to be spread out. Students will not be allowed to face each other in small groups or anything like that. We're going to go back to that old traditional face one direction, in straight rows, classroom formatting. No, it's not the best, but for us right now, in order to keep safe, this is what we will need to do to keep everyone facing the same direction. Town halls, which is a huge part of the culture at Tri-Cities. If we have town halls, we're going to hold them by grade level, which they always are, 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th grade, 12th, but we're going to do it in the gym. So whereas normally we do it in the auditorium, we have an auditorium space of about 500 seats. We have anywhere from 300 to 400 students at each grade level. Well, now we're going to put them in the gym by grade level, so they'll be able to spend as much as possible so that we can make sure that we are socially distanced properly, because what we want to do is provide as much of a traditional opportunity for our students to be able to gather, but we want to do it as safely as possible. And doing it in the gym gives them every opportunity to do that. And when we're not able to do that, we are going to go virtual. So we will broadcast our meetings. All of our broadcasts are able to be seen virtually via laptop or projected in the classroom. We have looked at our cafeteria configuration. Our cafeteria holds about 450 students. We're going to go from 4 lunches to 5 lunches right now. That's the plan. And we're going to open up more spaces. So we're going to tape off seats. So a normal table holds about 12 students. We're going to reduce that to about 6 students. But then there's a couple spaces that we're going to be able to expand into. So the teacher's lounge will now be part of the student cafeteria. Students will be able to go in there, so we'll be able to sit approximately 20 students there. We have our old bistro area that we're going to revigorate that space, so we'll be able to fit another 20 students in there. And then we're also looking at an outdoors option. So, that'll give students the opportunity to just kind of walk outside, get some fresh air in a secured area where we will have adults supervision in all of these spaces that I'm talking about, but it'll give us an opportunity again to kind of expand our footprint for the cafeteria. Again, going from 4 lunches to 5, that's one plan. The other plan, though, may be students doing a grab and go for lunch. And so we're looking at both of those, leaning more towards the reconfiguration of the cafeteria. But if we cannot make that work, then we will have to go to the grab and go lunch, where students grab their lunch. We'll set up a schedule. They'll go back to their classrooms and eat. The other thing another thing we're doing is staggering our schedule. So instead of the one bell that rings and all the students enter the hallway, we're looking at staggering a release by grade level or by hall. Our hallways are now, for the most part, configured by grade level. And so, for instance, our ninth grade team of students core curricular are on L Hall. So L Hall classes may ring first so that those students who are transitioning within that hallway can start to move. Likewise, if they have a band or if they need to go to the magnet or CTA, they'll be able to transition in that area. And then maybe 3 to 4 minutes later, we'll ring the next bell. That next bell will be for the next grade level. So it'll be a rolling entrance of students into the hallways, with the ideal situation being those students move into those core classes as quickly as possible, but absolutely reducing the amount of students that we have. So we're being very intentional that we have in the hallway. So we're being very intentional around that. Again, that'll reduce the hallway traffic as much as possible. Again, we are a comprehensive high school, a very large high school, but we're thinking about how do we move students so that we're not all in the hallway at one time. We will also look at how do we plan for our large classes. That's our PE. PE, for instance, instead of students all gathering in the gym, maybe we will now start to expand out. We have a practice field, we have a stadium, we have softball fields, so we have tennis courts, so we have huge spaces that will allow students to kind of spread out, classes to spread out, branch out so that they're not all together. Band, we have looked at and thought about band and those instruments. And so we will work together with Dr. Rowland to move our band classes to the auditorium. This will give students opportunity to space. Dr. Rowland can be at the front still directing, as awesome as he is, and students be able to get that instruction that they need and still remain socially distant. And so that's what we're looking at in all of our classes, especially our larger classes. We will have signage throughout the building. Stairwells will be directional. There will be one stairwell that'll be up, another stairwell that'll be down. We will have dividers in our hallway, not physical up and down dividers, but directional dividers so that we'll know to stay to the right or stay to the left as much as possible. So the other thing I'm sure everyone is interested in are our buses. I know that you've probably heard some buzz about masks being required, masks not being required on the buses. Again, information changes daily right now, and as always, when it comes to transportation, we will follow the district guidelines. Our staff meetings will be held in different locations. We will utilize an in-person and virtual opportunity for our staff meetings so that whereas we normally all 150 of us congregate together in the commons, we probably won't do that. We will give teachers the opportunity to join us in different moments, whether it's online or face-to-face. Again, our auditorium normally sits about 500, but when we space it out appropriately, we're going to have to reduce that space to that number to 165 people. Drills. Normally, we pull a drill. Everybody goes outside at the same time because we have to clear the building, right? We want everybody out. Well, the way we will practice this work this year will probably be by a rotational schedule so that not everyone is out in one space at one time. If we have a alarm that is not a drill, then at that time, those practice moments will come together and everyone will have to evacuate as normal. We are looking at our arrival and dismissals. So for arrivals, what we have discussed is students will arrive to school. We're asking that no student enter the building before 8 a.m. This will allow our staff members to be there and in place to make sure that things are where they're supposed to be, that things are sanitized the way they're supposed to be before students enter the building. When they arrive, we're going to ask that they come into the building, get their lunch, and then move to their class. Whereas normally we gather together, students gather in the commons area. They're allowed to socialize, linger, have fun. Unfortunately, we have to look at how do we have fun differently? How do we socialize differently? And part of that is having them transition to class, getting settled in that space, reducing the amount of students that they're around. So we're looking at that. The other thing we're looking at is our dismissal process. Normally we ring the bell at 3:30, everybody goes out, walks to the buses. Well, we're going to look at how do we stagger dismissals so that we don't have 1,500 students in the hallway at one time. Safety and security. So I kind of mentioned it earlier with our visitors. So no one can just pop up. We are going to ask as much as possible that you make arrangements to come to the building, whether that is scheduling an appointment with an administration or the person that you want to see. Instead of just coming up. Now, that doesn't mean you can't. If you have an emergency, we're going to welcome you. We're just going to ask that you please have on a mask. If you don't have a mask, we may have one to provide you, but that will be required. Also, we're going to ask that you sanitize your hands when you walk in the building. And we may even, there has been some discussion at the district level that visitors will have their temperatures checked, because it's not just about being safe physically, it's about being safe all the way around for our students. So we want to make sure that those persons that we're welcoming into the building, they're not bringing anything in with them. So we want to make sure that everybody is safe as possible. And as always, when it comes to security, our visitors will be held at the front, in the front atrium area. Visitors will not be able to go throughout the building. Also, volunteers this year, normally we have volunteers that come whether they're working with the class or not. Unfortunately, this year at this moment, we're going to have to stop those until we are in a safer space. We will again have CDC signs posted throughout the building, warning of social distancing, reminding students to wash their hands. Oh, one thing I forgot to add, today we started adding 30 sanitation stations throughout our building. So from the time you walk into the door, the front atrium, throughout our building, there are going to be those foam sanitation stations for our students and staff members to use throughout our building. So I'm excited about that. Water fountains, students will not be able, or staff members will not be able to use water fountains because we don't want, cross-contamination. We don't want that to happen. So if you have a student who needs water throughout the day, we all do, we're going to ask that you send a water bottle with them. Parents, this is my little caveat to safety and security. Please make sure that you check what's in your child's water bottle. Just to be on the safe side, make sure that it's water or juice so that we can make sure our scholar is as safe as possible. A part of security, because this moment we may be going back and forth from being digital to being in class, we want to make sure that students protect your password, your login, know how to log into your devices, not to share your information with anybody else, because now if you do that, they have access to everything, your coursework, everything. So please make sure that you're aware of that. The other big thing that we're going to do this year for safety and security is we're going to move, because we're not doing lockers, we're going to move to digital books. That's for everyone. However, we do understand that students learn differently. Some students are kinesthetic. They need to be able to touch a book, use a book, things like that. And so those students will be able to get those books, physical books, by request, but all of our other books are available digitally. And also parents, you want to make sure that you have access to your Infinite Campus for your students. Another big change that we're looking at, we want to make sure that our safety, not just from the stance of this virus that we have, but we are also looking at just the safety of our footprint of our parking of our school building. And so we're going to be really intentional this year about where car riders are dropped off, the entrance at the back of the building. We're going to ask that all cars enter from the Jefferson Rec side of the school and exit through at the Dairy Queen side instead of doing that loop that some people do. Hopefully that traffic pattern will be better. And then our students who are drivers will enter through the gym lobby as normal. The difference will be if they are late, they will have to walk around the front of the building to enter because we want to make sure that we are curtailing as much traffic in the building and that we are aware of who's entering the building. I wanted to make sure that I shared with you the matrix. This is on the district's website. This is what happens if one person, a student or staff member becomes ill. And so I will let you kind of just take a second to look over that. The district has, put this in place. If we have one student get sick, then under criteria 1, if you just kind of go down, those are the actions that the school will take. If we have 5 students and staff members, any combination thereof, get sick, you go to criteria 3, and you just kind of go down and look at the process that the district will follow. And again, as a reminder, if we start face-to-face, that does not mean we won't go virtual. We may start face-to-face and then something may happen and we go out back to universal remote learning like we did in March. Again, this document is available on the district website. It will also be available on our website. Technology, that good old thing called technology. So what we want to do this year is make sure the first week of school, our job is 1, to make sure that we welcome our students back to a safe environment. What we're going to do though is we're going to ask that any student who has a device, make sure you bring your device day 1 so that you can power it up at school, get all that new information that needs to be updated into your computer. We can identify what technology tech services you may need, but we're going to do all of that work week 1. Any new students entering our building who don't have devices, we want to make sure that we get a device into their hand as quickly as possible week 1. For our incoming 9th graders, we're going to ask that they bring their devices with them that they had from the middle school. Most middle schools, I know Paul D. West did not collect their devices from 8th graders. So bring your device. That will be your device that you continue to use until such time as we refresh. But again, it's going to be hugely important that if you have your device, you bring it to the school week 1 if we're face-to-face so that you can get all that information uploaded into your system. Hotspots. Now, what we realized when we went out in March was that not all students had access to internet. As much as we think that it is something that is very universal that everyone has, that's not always true. And so there may be some available to them, but there's no guarantee. The district has purchased some, but compared to the number of students we have, it's a very small number. We are working with some outside agencies to obtain more, but that does not necessarily mean even in that we will have enough. So we're going to ask parents as much as possible, please connect with a local internet provider. I know that Comcast and AT&T started reducing, if not providing for free in some instances, internet access for students. So please make sure that you are prepared in the case that we have an immediate switch. Again, we may start school week 1, week 2, we may be right back out. So we want to make sure that we're prepared as possible. This year, we heard our parents and students that there were too many platforms that students were having to log into, utilize, and so forth. So this year, we have mandated all of our teams, all of our staff members to utilize Microsoft Teams, which students can get through the Launchpad, which is where they get all their other platforms. The great part about Microsoft Teams is you can download the app to your device or to your to any device, actually your phone or wherever, so students can participate. However, although I did say you can download it to your Teams to your phone, I want to make sure parents, as much as possible, students are not relying on their phones to do their work. They need to have access to their device, a device that allows all of the platforms and software to properly work. Also, it's impossible to look at that small screen all day in those instances. So as much as possible, as much as the student says, I can use my phone, parents, I need you to work with me and say, no, use your device. It's just better mentally for them. It's better health-wise for their eyes. And then all of, again, the software that's utilized will definitely work on the device versus not always working on the phone. So universal remote learning, that is when the entire district goes to remote learning. That's what happened in March. And so we want to talk about some of those things that we're doing. A lot of it will look the same as a face-to-face environment, such as our academic day. In the fall, we went to content areas by day. So Monday was ELA, Tuesday was math, and so forth. Well, we're not doing that this year because we found out that that was not the best thing. This year, we're going to go a regular schedule, just in case we go back and forth and fluid throughout the school day, or throughout the school year. Students will have classes. Their first block will start at 8:20. Their second block will start at 10 o'clock and so forth. So we're going to keep a consistent schedule. This way, those sleeping beauties that slept in until like 1 o'clock, they won't have the opportunity to do that this year. They will have to get up, log into class. We have the ability to take attendance now. Teachers have the ability to receive students' work immediately. There will be an instructional framework where teachers will required to teach for a certain amount of time. The remainder of that 90-minute class period may be independent work, but the teacher will remain available. So we want to make sure that our students are present, on time, accounted for, and engaged, which goes back to that to that technology. Students and parents, please, please, please make sure that you have what you need, because at any moment we could shift to this area. We'll be working with our teachers because we shift so quickly in March. It was one of those things we were moving towards, but whoever thought that the world was shut down, right? So we are continuing to work with our teachers with some professional development. I'm excited to say one initiative, well, the only new initiative that we have for Tri-Cities High School instructionally this year is to become a Microsoft Showcase school. And that will mean that all of our teachers will have extensive training in the Microsoft applications, which Teams is a part of. So we're excited about that as far as our teachers becoming more apt and able to deliver synchronous instruction virtually. Learning recovery, we are going to, again, look at some things. We're still going to do our diagnostic testing face-to-face as well as universal remote through iReady. Again, our standards mastery frameworks have been adjusted to include some of those standards that may not have been taught in the spring. Social emotional learning, pride time, all of those things will continue because we will follow the exact same bell schedule. So there are some responsibilities that everybody has in this. Teachers are professionally bound to make sure that they are well versed in how to navigate these devices. And so we also want to make sure that students understand their responsibility. Like I said before, from 8:20 to 3:30, we're running a regular day. We want to make students make sure students are actively engaged in the work. And that they're meeting the attendance requirements. And so before, we just kind of looked at, did you log on or did you turn in work? It won't be that way if we go to this space. It will be, you have to log on, you have to participate just as if you were in class. And then we're saying, did you complete your work? So are you present virtually, and are you doing your work? Parents, I want to remind you and your students, your scholars, that we do have a Tri-Cities app. So you want to make sure that you download that app. If you don't have it, we'll send out the information that you can download it. You may be able to just search it in your app store, though. the Tri-Cities High School app, and a lot of information is pushed out digitally there, just like this notification was. So, that's a part of all of our responsibility too, to be able to connect. So I'll give you a moment to look at the virtual learning. I'm sorry, a remote learning option. So I'll give you a second to just read over those. I want to make sure that you are aware of some things. So with my previous conversation was if we went universal. This information that you see now is concerning individual remote learning. So this is students who choose, or parents who choose, that I don't want to come back face to face. I want my child, for whatever reason, maybe they have some health concerns. Maybe you're just not comfortable with the volume of students just yet. Maybe you're not satisfied with our sanitation plan. But if you choose this option, I want to make sure that you are fully aware of what's happening when you make that decision. And it's absolutely yours to make. Again, like I said, with our universal remote learning, students will need a device and not a cell phone. The teachers that are provided will not be Tri-Cities High School teachers. AP classes will not be offered virtual, Fulton virtual, but Georgia virtual. So the requirements and things that are happening with that may be different. And more importantly, please know that your child must remain in that space for the entire semester. So even if we started face-to-face, you selected individual remote learning, and then for whatever reason, the district goes universal remote, your child will remain in that individual remote learning space. So again, great opportunity. It is for some, not for others, but I want to make sure that you are fully aware of what you're selecting at that time. So I won't go over the frequently asked questions because hopefully I've kind of answered some of them. But if not, you can go to the Fulton County website where all of this information can be found. Again, they've extended the time to select from this Friday, the 17th, until next week, the 22nd. So you still have a little more time to kind of respond or to think about it and make your decision. There's a second page of that. So I think one thing I want you to look at, will there be materials, devices, or Wi-Fi available for students and family? We will provide, Fulton County will provide the devices. There may be an opportunity for manipulatives, printed materials, and things like that. So, like as I said before, limited Wi-Fi hotspots. Another important space question is after school athletics. And so at the time that they wrote this, they were saying if you chose a virtual option, you would not be able to participate in after school athletics and clubs and things like that. Well, that has since changed. And the caveat to that is if a student is an athlete, band member, ROTC, then they would need to be enrolled halftime virtual, halftime face-to-face. And our Dr. Papula and our administrative team, our assistant principals are working on a plan for that, for those students. But again, at the minimum, they have to be in class or at Tri-Cities half of their day. Now, what if I have a student who's a dual enrollment student and an athlete? Well, dual enrollment counts as being enrolled at Tri-Cities. So that is an option for them as well, if they qualify for that. Tag honors courses will be, tag and honors courses will be offered through Fulton Virtual. AP courses, though, will go through Georgia Virtual. And so if you're selecting the individual virtual remote learning plan, please make sure that you follow those steps to select those appropriate AP courses. So again, this information is on our Fulton website. So again, this is what our day looks like if you were to choose the individual remote learning. You'd have class periods. They're going to go throughout the day. So there's no Monday, I just do ELA. Tuesday, I do math. Your class periods will run the same. You will not be on an AB like we are at Tri-Cities. It's totally separate from Tri-Cities High School. Lunch, for those students who select individual virtual learning, lunch will still be provided. Parents, they'll have to order their meals ahead of time. Meals will be like they are for the summer and like we ended up doing as we closed out the school year, where you'll pick up a collection of 5 breakfasts, 5 lunches, and then the time to be distributed will be between 10 and 10:45 only on Wednesday. And so we'll come up with a process for that to happen, which will probably run very similar. So even if our students are not on campus, they choose the individual virtual learning, they will still have the opportunity to receive breakfast and lunch. Like I just mentioned with athletics band ROTC, as of now, students have to be enrolled half virtual, half face-to-face, as of now. I don't know, your information changes quite often, so I don't know if that'll change, but please plan accordingly as of now. Something else to consider, if your student is a CTAE student, the only virtual, just listen to me on this part. The only virtual, if they're CTAE, the only virtual classes are those intro classes. If they are a 3rd year or 4th year CTAE student, those classes are only offered face-to-face. So we want to make sure if a student wants to be a pathway completer, if I'm a senior student, I want to be a pathway completer, I have to really think about what does this look like for me if I choose the virtual option. And so those are conversations that I would say make sure you talk with your school counselor about, or contact me or any administrator to get some clarity on that. Dual enrollment considerations. So this year we're excited to bring on Atlanta Tech, but I want us to be very sure that we're paying attention to the dates, because if we'll still have GMC and we're bringing on Atlanta Tech. With GMC, school starts August the 3rd. Fulton County Schools does not start until August 17th. So if your student is a dual enrollment student and they're enrolled at GMC, their classes start August 3rd. Please make sure that you are aware of that. So because we don't start until physically for Fulton County until August 17th, they will need to start their login online, their classes, August 3rd. No books will be required this year. If they are a matriculating senior or a junior, they should already have their devices. We did not collect devices last year, so they should have the devices that they need to be successful. Okay. If you have questions about dual enrollment, please make sure you contact Ms. Jones, Ms. Jacqueline Jones, Counselor Jones. Atlanta Tech, we're excited to say we're bringing on Atlanta Tech this year. Their classes will start August the 10th. Those students know who they are. Your students, those students are online. Atlanta Tech is online and will be online the entire first semester. Again, if you have questions about dual enrollment, please contact Ms. Jones. AP and honors courses. AP and honors courses, there's been a lot of conversation around that. So just as of yesterday, honors courses, tag, foreign language classes will be offered via Fulton Virtual. AP courses, though, will not be Fulton Virtual. AP courses will be Georgia Virtual School. Okay, so if you choose the individual virtual learning, there are some answers and drop downs. You have to be very specific to select. So just be mindful of that. So here are just some slides that I was able to pull down from, we were able to pull down, I'm sorry, from our Fulton website. The expectations of the teacher, the expectation of the student. Again, I want to make sure that you understand it's not the same process we did in the fall. It's a great opportunity. Some students will thrive in this opportunity. So I'm excited that we're able to offer it for those students, but I want everyone to be aware of what they're getting into. And so here you see the teacher role, the student role, and the parent communication role. And if you don't get all the information as I'm going through the slides, we will put this on our YouTube channel and also on our website. So I'll just kind of go through moment by moment of how to register for individual remote learning or individual virtual learning. Again, all the information is on the Fulton County website. Some reminders. Again, the deadline has shifted to July the 22nd. There were some briefings. Hopefully you were able to access those and participate in those. Remember, if you are selecting the information, you need to look at select where your child was last school year, not this upcoming year. And at the bottom it says guidance is subject to change. So at any moment, something could change. So you want to make sure that you are monitoring the Fulton County website for any updates. And so now I will take any questions. Ashley, are you there?
Yes, ma'am. So the first question is, will students be allowed to have face shields?
So yes, they will be, but I want to make sure that we understand that the data is still out. It hasn't been a lot of data on the actual protection of those face shields. We're providing those for staff members to supplement, to be an addition to face masks. We want to always lean towards students wearing face masks first, and then the addition of face shields. And I'll just say, I may not get through all your questions, but I'll answer as many as we can. So we'll allot, it's 8 o'clock now. So we're an hour in, so maybe we'll go to about 8:15.
Next question is, if a student tests positive or a family member living in the household of the teacher tests positive, what will happen with the students in that class?
That's a great question, and we are still waiting on district guidance. I will go back to the matrix though and look at that, but again, we're waiting for specific directives from the district on how that will be handled. My first reference would be the matrix.
Next one is about Magnet. A few parents had this question. Is Magnet still available on online school? And if not, how will the students earn the rest of their Magnet credit?
Great question. Dr. Mingo and I and this team have been discussing that. We are looking at some options once we collaborate with the district on some possibilities of that. We will definitely get with the Magnet students and parents. It may be an opportunity, and I say maybe, so don't hold me to it, but there may be an opportunity for students to take their academic courses via virtual and then take their magnet courses. It may be a half and half, a hybrid kind of day, basically. So they'll have to come in for those magnet courses because they are not offered virtually, but they won't have to be there the entire day for the academic courses. Again, this is something that we're looking at. There's no guarantee, but we're going to try to make something happen for those students.
So next one is, are schools going to give students water bottles since the water fountains won't be working?
No, we won't be able to afford that. What I would suggest is that you purchase one for your students.
So when they do, if they want to do the half virtual and half face-to-face, do they still go to the individual remote learning platform and they'll have that option?
So we are looking still, the district is still creating the guidance around that. It may be something that we're able to orchestrate at the local school level. But again, this is a new directive that just came out, so we're still working through it. We'll figure it out in ample time before next week.
How do we get our Infinite Campus sign reset? I guess sign in reset.
So you can call the school tomorrow and ask for Ms. Fears. Ms. Fears will be able to assist you with that.
So I will put in the chat room Ms. Fears' email address. So if you have questions about the activation code, which has come up, how to reset your Infinite Campus, and also if you just have any questions about enrolling a student or that kind of thing, you can email Ms. Fears. I don't see any other questions.
Well, actually, if you don't mind, I will put my, if you'll put my email address in the chat box. It's loves3@fultonschools.org. And I'm going to give you, I don't know, are you able to access all the administrators?
Yes, ma'am.
So what we're going to do is, if you give us a moment, we're going to put all the administrators' email addresses in the chat box. And so if you have a question, you can email me directly. I will try my best to answer your questions. We all will. But please understand and know that we may not have an answer right now. And so what we do know, we will share with you. What we don't know, we'll try to find out. And we will, what you can rest assured is that we're creating the best, safest possible environment for our students and our staff members and our family members. So our normal will not be what we're used to. It'll be a new normal, but we're doing everything we can so that everyone can remain safe, both mentally and physically. So if you are looking to reactivate your or reset your Infinite Campus code, you I said call the school, but it'll be better to email Ms. Fears and she can email that back to you.
Another question is, when will we be able to enroll children in virtual learning? And it has to be done by July 17th. So by Friday is the last day.
No, they've changed the date to July 22nd, next week. So you have a few more days to enroll. And then if you, again, we put the steps here on this process, on this PowerPoint. If you, if we went too fast for you, that's okay, because you can go to the Fulton County website and follow the directions for enrollment there. So I'm looking at the notes from my staff to see if I missed anything also. So if you don't know, I'm excited to come back. The team has been working really, really hard to make sure that our students and staff are safe. Football is back in session. They have been practicing and practicing safely. Our volleyball team has started to practice. So if you know of any students who want to participate in fall sports, please make sure that they reach out to Coach Miller. And that's Miller K10 at fultonschools.org. We are also still receiving our virtual auditions for the magnet program. So if you're interested in that, you want to reach out to Dr. Mingo. She is Mingo. Is it Mingo T or Mingo? Let me look it up.
It's Mingo TS.
Mingo TS at fultonschools.org if you are interested in working with the magnet program. Our CTAE program, if you don't know, this year some of our students were able to win first place in the state competitions, and so we want to continue that work. Some of them made it to the nationals, but nationals didn't happen. So Tri-Cities has some really awesome things going on. We are excited to receive our students back, whether it is virtually or face-to-face. And parents, please know that there's no pressure. Make the decision that's best for you and your family. And we're here to help you through that process as best we can.
There's a couple more questions that have popped up.
Okay.
When will class schedule be available for virtual scholars?
So just today, our Dr. Papula, our curriculum principal, went to training on virtual schedules. So I don't know the answer. I'm thinking by next week, but that's no guarantee because we're just going to training to learn how to do it.
I don't know the answer to that. I think. How will culinary arts fit into virtual?
Culinary arts will not. Only the introductory course is offered virtual. All other CTAE courses beyond introduction are face-to-face. And that's for culinary, engineering, health sciences, cosmetology, anything that we offer, whether it's here or at the Career Center. Only intro courses are virtual.
This is kind of for both of us as far as capping gown pictures. We've sent this out onto the Senior Remind and through email to the senior class. Capping gown pictures, you can already sign up for those. I think the day that they're coming to the school is September 25th. However, Ms. Love, if we end up going to remote learning, will we still be able to do those capping gown pictures at the school?
That's a great question. I don't know. We have to figure it out. It may be an opportunity where we have to set up by schedule. I'm not sure. What I do want to, since you mentioned seniors, I wanted to say this. What we are looking at our seniors, as far as those seniors who are on track and have room in their schedule, like maybe they only need 3 classes, core classes to graduate to meet their 23 credit requirement. We're looking at how we can be creative for those students. So maybe they're not at school all day. So we're looking at some opportunities for our senior students to not have them be at school if they don't want to be for a full 7-hour day or 4-period day. So we're trying to get creative so that we can support our students. More information is forthcoming on that though.
Do we know anything about cheerleading tryouts?
I don't, but if you email me tomorrow, Love S3, or if you email Mr. Miller, Coach Miller, Miller K10, he can get you that specific information.
Last one, how do I make sure my daughter is in her AP classes as she was in the school? That was not an option when I enrolled her for virtual.
So you need to go back to that process. If you want her to do AP courses, that is not on Fulton Virtual, that is on Georgia Virtual. And so there is, from my understanding, there's a drop down box that says Georgia Virtual somewhere. But what you can do this. Contact Ms. Fears or Miss Jones, probably Miss Jones, Jacqueline Jones. Jones, JB, at fultonschools.org. So the time is now 8:15. I thank you so much for spending your part of your evening with me. I hope that I have answered some of your questions. I don't have all the answers. Nobody does, but we are working very diligently at Tri-Cities to make it the best opportunity possible for all of our stakeholders. And just to go back to that mission statement, we are here to inspire each other to be our best selves, inspire each other to be our best selves, and that's by being committed, innovative, optimistic, and service-minded in our athletic, artistic, academic, and personal endeavors in a safe environment. So we are working hard to make sure that happens for everyone. If you have questions, my email is in the chat box along with all the other administrators. Let us know. We will answer what we can as best we can. With that, I will say good night.